Good day, everyone. Today, we discuss about the emerging nationalism. So before we discuss the content of this lesson, we define first what is nationalism or what is emerging nationalism. So from the word nationalism, it is the influence of other people, or I can say that it is a promotion of interest in one nation. So Filipino nationalism, it is refers to awaken and support of identity of political. It is gradually emerged out of the different political and armed movement throughout of the Spaniards. An emerge of Filipino nationalism has a three major factor, which are the economy, education, and secularization of parishes. So, in this lesson, here are the objectives. At the end of this lesson, you expected to examine the causes and effects of the Cavite Mutiny and explain the conflict between the Filipino secular priests and the Spanish regular priests. So let's fasten our seatbelt to start the discussion of this lesson.
So on January 20, 1872, approximately 250 Filipino soldiers or workers rose in revolt at an arsenal in Cavite. So way back in 140 years ago, on January 20, 1872, about 250 Filipino soldiers and laborers of engineering and artillery corps who rose up or rise up after their salaries were reduced upon the order of Governor General Rafael D. Izquierdo by subjecting them to personal taxes from which they were previously exempt. So taxes are required them to pay a monetary or a financial amount as well as to perform forced labor or what they called polo y servicio. 11 Spaniards were killed during the mutiny. So way back on January 20, 1872, there are 11 Spaniards were killed, 11 officers Spaniards were killed during the mutiny. And the next one is an oft-cited reason for there was a decree released by Governor General Rafael D. Izquierdo. So in this reason for there was a decree released by the Governor General Rafael D. Izquierdo was a cause of Filipino to rise in revolt in Cavite. And the last one is the degree ordered the arsenal workers will no longer be exempt from the tributo and polo, a privilege they had enjoyed in the past. So in this statement was a privilege for us to enjoy it because it is a glorious event for us that we should not forget that before.
Official reports contains that claims the leaders of the mutiny had expected the support of close to 2,000 men from regiments based both in Cavite also in Manila. The plan was to begin the revolt after midnight in Manila. A signal by way of fireworks would be set to the rebels in Cavite. Cavite mutiny began early in the evening, and many of those who pledged support defected and vowed loyalty to Spain. Ultimately, the mutiny failed and the Spanish government used incident as a means to suppress the increasing calls for a more liberal administration. Among those who clamored for reforms were Filipino secular priests.
So in Catholic faith, there are two types of clergy, the regular priest and the secular priest. So the regular priests, whose jurisdiction fell under elected prelates, were better prepared for missionary work because of their standards of discipline and asceticism. So the job of the regular priest was to introduce the faith, convert the natives, and establish religious communities. So, what is the difference between regular priests and secular priests? So, the regular priests, they take religious vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience, and they follow the rule of life of the institute to which they belong. While the secular priests, they really didn't follow any rules of Catholic faith. They did not take vows. So that is the secular priest, and the difference between the regular priest and the secular priest. So in the Philippines, there are five religious orders took in this past: the Augustinians, the Discalced Franciscans, the Jesuits, the Dominicans, and the Augustinian Recollects.
Regular clergy were priests who live in the world. They are under the authority of bishop and not members of religious order. So from the word itself, secular, security. So under sila sa authority sa mga bishop. So ang ilang mga tagsa-tagsa ka mga buluhaton is that to manage sa mga religious communities and ideally. Regular clergy, from the word itself, regular. So sila ang naga-introduce sa mga pagtuo o sila ang nagahimo og religious communities. So two issues in the clergy of the Philippines. Number one is had to do with episcopal visitation. So sila is that naga-visit sa mga lain-lain nga mga communities. So amendable, passed by Pope Adrian VI. So mo ni siya ang napasa ni Pope Adrian VI in 1522 nga nagaingon is that ang regular clergy is to mag-manage sa sakramento then mag-act po siya as a parish priest. Council of Trent 1545 to 1563. No priest could care for the soul of layman. So walay pari nga makabuhat no sa iya sarili lamang. King Philip II granted with discretionary power. So si King Philip is natahasan siya o gahom para sa iyang pag-manage sa parish priest sa communities.
So the second issue is all about the management of the parishes. In the early stages of Christianization, because of the scarcity of secular priests, regular priests maintained control over the parishes. So we all know that secular priests are the one who run the parishes and were under the supervision of the bishops. But because the numbers of secular priests are not enough, regular priests take over. However, in the beginning of the late 17th century, they exerted effort in order to produce and train Filipino secular priests that are capable on the rule. This is why in the 19th century, they constituted an increasingly significant number. But despite this, the regular clergy usually contested, if not outright refused, the rights of the secular clergy to the parishes. So as a result of this, in the revolt in Cavite, several priests and laymen were arrested on the orders. Okay, so they were arrested on the orders of Governor General Esquerdo. So among the priests arrested in the succeeding days were Fathers Jose Burgos, Jacinto Guevara, Mariano Gomez, Feliciano Gomez, Mariano Sibilia, Bartolome Serra, Miguel de Laza, Justo Guazon, Vicente del Rosario, Pedro Dandan, and Anacleto Dice de Rio. So among the laymen were lawyers and businessmen, and those are Gervasio Sanchez, Pedro Carrillo, Maximo Inoncino, Balbino Mauricio, Ramon Maurente, Maximo Paterno, and Jose Basa. So these Filipinos were sentenced to varying terms of exile in Guam. So the three priests, Burgos, Gomez, and Zamora, or what we call Gomborza, on the other hand, were condemned to death by garrote on February 15, 1872, due to the false accusations of treason and sedition, taking a supposed active role in Cavite Mutiny. So therefore, the Cavite Mutiny was happened because of the identified accounts in this historical event. The laborers in the time received their pay, but their salaries had been deducted the fine and the taxes. The number of intellectuals Filipino was seized and accused of complicity with the mutineers. After the revolt, the three priests became martyrs to the cause or assert of independence of our country. And it is the privilege for us to enjoy and celebrate what they had before. And a conflict between the two groups of priests, it was began through visiting the parishes. It was their duty, but they argued to check on the administration of these parishes. So that would be all in our discussion. Thank you and God bless.